Condescending is the debut full-length album from FÖHN, an Athens, Greece-based funeral doom metal band, and maybe a funeral death doom metal band if you'd like. I would say they're avant-garde funeral doom overall. There is just enough of a experimental touch to what they do by way of a little bit of jazz fusion that makes this record extra interesting around the edges. And otherwise, these people are kind of well known for other works that they've done in the past, such as believe the vocalist from Ocean of Grief features here, and he's also in a band Shattered Hope with one of the main songwriters, and they've kind of been at it for a long time in this general realm. You'll feel like they're very comfortable, they're professionals, and they know how to showcase funeral doom metal in a modern way that is also something a little bit different, not just the usual thing. I think the general tone of it is somber. It's a little bit adventurous. It's a little bit tragic otherwise. So there's definitely some mournful congregation in the way they present their guitar work, as well as the overall tone of this record. Just to get a sense of what this sounds like and where it's a little bit different, we'll cut to a song here and show what's unique about this. So the band has showcased a variety of influences, or at least mentioned them in relation to this album and how its sound developed, and that includes everything from probably later Swans to Esoteric. And the way I read this album is that it's got a creeping atmosphere that involves a little bit of jazz, the way that Five the Hierophant does, and there's a little bit of Jesu in some of these places where they build up a riff that is a little bit staggered, but also a little bit post-metal in the way that it ramps up. So there's more to just funeral doom to this record, but each of these songs is drawn out and stretched and stated in a way that will feel like the overall dynamic of modern funeral doom without a lot of accoutrement. There are definitely points that stray from classic funeral doom metal, and there's definitely a death metal touch to this record overall that keeps it interesting and keeps the pace moving here to and fro essentially. But the points where the dark jazz infusion happens are the most exciting, and that's the first and last track of the four. So that's mainly what there is to say about this record. There's a couple of interesting riffs, there's some use of samples and sound collages to introduce a couple of tracks, and there's a long, protracted interview, a clip of a protracted interview about sex trafficking that is interesting in what it's conveying, but it's difficult to return to on repeat listens because it's a lengthy album. It's very involved, and this is a considerable portion of it spent with this person talking. And for me, it was interesting the first time, but I got it and I was ready to move on. And it was not something I felt like needed to be repeated every time I picked up the album in such depth. But I certainly got the point after about 10 listens, where I was still enjoying this record for its surreal qualities, still enjoying a little bit of death metal that was here and there in the funeral death doom metal sense. But I think this is generally a record that the funeral doom metal niche will understand best and appreciate most. If you're a fan of atmospheric doom metal or just death doom metal, there's qualities in there that are certainly for you, and this is a good band to showcase the way those things create an admixture that is modern funeral doom. But I wouldn't say that I would go into this expecting the most avant-garde record you've ever heard in the funeral doom metal genre. You're going to have to be a subgenre fan to really want this one. For the general public, it's probably not a huge recommendation. For anyone who is attuned to the different extremes of extreme metal, it's a moderately high recommendation. I think this is a unique band, and I'd like to see them continue down this path and kind of push it a little bit further so that it does meet up with those expectations of avant-garde more readily, but also fills in some of the gaps that sort of leave us floating around the album a little bit. I appreciate it as a longtime fan of Funeral Doom, but I could see that this is not the most accessible way to present that on a huge double LP for a debut album. So check it out if you will, if that's to your taste and it interests you. It releases on August 23rd, and go ahead and read my review for more of my thoughts.